I will kill for the idea to be a Jewish state in a Jewish land.
My name is Wajahat Ali, and some people know me as a writer slash commentator slash dude who wears a lot of makeup on television once in a while. It always seems that like white writers get to talk about Muslim radicals and extremists, but like Muslims are never allowed to like go talk about like any other radicals because we're seen as too sensitive, too emotional. Be a good boy, Abu. You know, growing up, I can say as a son of Pakistani immigrants, Israel was a colonizing force, a force of oppression and injustice. I want to go talk to Jewish fundamentalists, these settlers in the West Bank. If we can get some people to think about Israel and Palestine through new lens, new perspectives, why not? In 1967, fearing an attack from the Arab world, Israel went to war. In 6 days, they not only defended their territory, but also expanded it to more than twice its pre-war size, including occupying the West Bank, the area Palestinians hope will be part of their future state. Today, over 400,000 Israeli Jews live in the West Bank in defiance of international law, a Swiss cheese of towns and cities that may make a viable Palestinian state impossible. I want to find out, who are these settlers and why do they choose to live in the most contentious place on earth? I feel like I'm in a very wealthy American suburb.
All right, who wants coffee?
I will gladly take if you are making, sir.
And just let me see, where'd my wife put sugar?
To you as a religious Jew, just explain to me, why would someone choose to live in the West Bank?
This is the symbol of returned, restored Jewish sovereignty. The land and the dream of the land is what makes us able to exist. Now we're coming to, I think, one of the more historical things that justifies our being here, what we call the Tell of Shiloh, the archaeological mound. So we're digging out the past, and in digging out the past, we're finding bones, we're finding pottery, we're finding walls, and all building up a picture what was here at Tell Shiloh 3,500 years ago up until the present.
So there's many Palestinians who say they have a greater right to this land than you, an American Jew, born, last time I checked, in Brooklyn? Bronx, sorry, I stereotyped you. So go ahead and keep digging 10,000 years. I'll show you the key to my great-grandfather who was here.
I assume that he does have the key to an actual home that existed here from his grandfather. I don't dispute that. It's who was here consistently, century after century, millennia after millennia. And that belongs only to the Jews.
When you think of that like dumpy settlement, right? This is the dumpy settlement. You got like these shack-like things behind me, especially to the left. So you were the first house?
The first anything.
Well, weren't you afraid of, I mean, there's nothing here. There's no grocery store, no gas station, no hospital, no neighbors.
Good. According to me, that's what I dream of. Everything is belong to us. By history, by archaeology, by theology. I spent my last 2,000 years as a foreigner, as someone that exiled from this country, in Iraq, in Poland, in Russia, in Germany, in no matter where. I won't be foreigner again.
The occupied territories and the settlement project have been the central and most divisive political issues in Israel since literally the moment of the ceasefire in June 1967.
A group called Gush Emunim, the Bloc of the Faithful, this kind of premier settler organization, began to work to create large-scale civilian settlement across the occupied territories.
The right-wing Likud governments took that foundation and accelerated it greatly, and through a variety of means drew hundreds of thousands of Israelis to live in occupied territory.
What we mainly do is we're playing offense. And it's not an offensive campaign against terrorism, it's an offensive campaign against Palestinian independence. There isn't almost any city in the West Bank, Palestinian city, that is not encircled by the settlements 360 degrees.
If you're a Palestinian, you want to leave a city, you need to have a permit. When you leave, you have to wait on a checkpoint. Another people, another authority that you don't recognize as your own, control every aspect of your life.
Three Israelis were killed by a Palestinian terrorist in the settlement of Halamish in the West Bank over the Jewish Sabbath.
Guys, can we actually stop by on the settlement where this attack happened? And can we do a quick stopover? I'm gonna meet the sister of the IDF soldier who shot Omar al-Abed, the 19-year-old Palestinian attacker, and she's gonna take us literally to the place where he saw them.
My family heard the screamings, and my brother ran out, and he jumped over the bush over here. From the window, he saw the terrorist who was stabbing Yossi, my neighbor. He shot over there, and he managed to neutralize the terrorist who fell down on the floor. And then they ran into the house, and they saw an awful, awful scene, bleeding all over the floor.
It's almost like the settlers are building homes on hot lava. Are they helping create the cycle of dysfunction?
I think if anybody is not helping, it's the terrorists who are murdering people in their beds.
I'm about to go talk to Omar's parents. Do you condemn what your son did or not?
أنا بحملها للاحتلال لنتنياهو يعني وش صراصير نتكتل هم ما يتكتلوش. سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم العين بالعين والسن بالسن.
So Wajahad, how did it go? I'm dying to hear.
We visited the family of this guy, this 19-year-old Omar. So we meet the father today.
So what was the father's point?
I didn't see any remorse. I didn't see any condemnation from him. There's posters of Omar everywhere. You know, I think he was very proud for what he did.
But no kidding, Omar is a hero now.
Isn't it interesting that in the holiest real estate on earth, where God thrives with all of his prophets, I have not thought about God in the past week. I haven't seen God anywhere.
We're about to head into Hebron. This has been described as the heart of darkness of the occupation of the settlements. It's a city which is literally divided between Muslims and Jews.
The settlers here are some of the most hardcore. To avoid further angering the Palestinians, the Israeli government rarely lets them expand their community or build new homes. I'm here to meet Yishai Fletcher and Noam Arnon, two representatives for the Jewish community of Hebron.
The Jews in Hebron today are in a ghetto. Jews are forced to live in 3% of the town. What my Arab friends say to me is that most of the people, they don't want a Palestinian state or a Palestinian entity, and they want to be under Israeli sovereignty. תגיד לי, אולי אני אבוא אליך עם עיתונאי מאמריקה, אתה רוצה?
גם היו אנשים אמרו אנחנו רוצים תחזור ישראל לשטחים.
כן, כן.
אף אחד ברחוב אמר לו לבחור, אמר לו לא רוצים.
Many Palestinians would say, Noam and Yishai are simply using you for pro-Israel propaganda. How do you respond to that?
הרבה אנשים היו אומרים, אני לא ראיתי בעיניים שלי יהודי שחט ערבי כמו הערבי יש בעיראק בסוריה.
For both of you, is it worth the bloodshed and the conflict?
What you perceive as bloodshed and conflict, we see is actually the end of 2,000 years of bloodshed and conflict. Today, in all of the wars of Israel, it's less than 2 days at Auschwitz. Okay, so to us, we actually see a time of great peace.
But how do you reconcile that with Palestinian citizens of Israel? Can they be equal to Jews?
No, not in my opinion. I don't deny democratic principles. I just say that they have to yield, the yield sign, to Zionist Jewish principles first, and then, of course, cater to democracy. But that's not the first principle, in my opinion.
For you?
Yeah, my opinion. I'm always talking about
your narrative.
Right, exactly.
We're on the Palestinian side of Hebron. Behind me, you can see the IDF. They're not supposed to be here, but they kind of do what they want.
We're now going up to the roof, and we've been warned not to stay there too long, or go to the left.
هون المستوطنين واليهود هون.
It's like 10 feet.
بحكي له إنه إذا طلعت هون على السطوح مرات بلاحظ إنه بيبقى في مستوطنين فوق بيلطخوا علينا حجار، بيلطخوا علينا زبايل، مرات أناني خمرة، أشياء كثيرة. إذا طلعت من البيت على طول بيجوا بيقتحموا المستوطنين وبياخذوه.
Do you think Jews have a right to live in this land?
لا ما لهمش حق.
Where will the Israelis go?
يرجعوا على أراضيهم يروحوا على بيوتهم. أنا وأولادي وجوزي كنا في فلسطين.
How are you feeling? I feel sad, man. I feel sad. Now I'm thinking about it, you're asking me, I feel really sad. I feel sad hearing every single story. I felt sad. Even the story of the settlers, because I feel like they missed the mark, you know? They missed the story of Abraham. They missed the spiritual lessons of what it was all, what it's about. I'm just curious if these two sides can even talk. I'm about to go meet Rabbi Hanan Schlesinger. He's one of the leaders of this NGO group called Roots, which brings Israeli settlers and Palestinians together for dialogue.
So I came to this land from my story, and it took me 37 years to realize that there's another story. And now my mission in life is to help both peoples appreciate there's two stories here, and they're real and they're human and they're legitimate. I got an invitation to come to this place to meet Palestinians. I was apprehensive, perhaps even frightened, didn't know what would happen to me. I walked in and one of the Palestinians got up, and then he said a lot of things about the rigors of living under Israeli occupation. That was the first time in my life I heard someone use that word occupation. It was so different from everything I know, anything I could imagine. So I was confused and I was upset and I was challenged, and I began a process that made me into what I'm becoming today.
And suppose a Palestinian was here. They'd say, how can you not have seen me? I was there all along. You're giving yourself a pass.
The closer you are, the less you see. The attitude of colonial America to the Indians, there's the attitude of America to the blacks. We've done things, we, I mean human beings. 20 years later, how could you have done that? Didn't you see? Didn't you see? The way that my people are settling Judah and Samaria is unfortunately coming at the expense of the Palestinian people. I think that's a fact.
For many settlers, the redemption of the land is the only way to make Israel's soul whole and pure again. And yet the irony is, I believe that Israel is on the verge of losing its soul by redeeming the land, by expanding, by creating more settlements. I see Israel and Palestine hijacked by absolutists from all sides. As the world's burning, those two will be dancing together.
She's almost gonna walk. 5? Oh, she's doing it. 6?
I'm gonna raise them Muslim. It's up to them whether or not they want to be Muslim. I don't want them to be animated and fueled either with a zealous love or a hate inspired by buildings and land like I see it happening here. You know, I hope they see beyond that.